Hey guys, what's going on? It is a beautiful spring morning here in Pennsylvania. Really excited to get working on our much anticipated sheep pasture. It's gonna be 70 degrees here Wednesday, March 13th. I got some brute force here to help me out and she's ready to go. So if you guys are new to our channel, the field you're looking at behind me for the longest time had been farmed by a local farmer. It was our way of keeping the field maintained a little bit. That way we weren't in here having to mow, which is going to take significant time for us. So this was your traditional monocrop, soybeans, sorghum, corn. And just this past year, he actually seeded some orchard grass for us. And we're going to go ahead now and we're going to start fencing this in. The plans here are going to be our sheep pasture. As we get growth this spring, we're going to move them in here. But first, we got to get a fence up. All right, guys, so this field is going to be about 4.5, maybe a little over 4.5 acres. So as you can imagine, it is going to require a heck of a lot of fence posts. Now with the timeless posts, you can typically space them a little further than that of the traditional T-posts. They're not going to wiggle as much because they have a little bit of flex in them. Actually, I should say they have a lot of flex in them. They won't actually wiggle out of the ground as much as your traditional steel T-posts. You can actually space them. The recommendation is about 16.5 feet, I believe, which is pretty far. So on the front part of the pasture near the road frontage, we're actually going to keep the spacing a little tighter. There's really two reasons there. First one is simply aesthetics. It's going to look a little nicer having these nice white posts a little tighter. The second is it actually does provide some support. Now these posts, a lot of times, you guys know it, they're not going to provide a significant amount of support as far as tension. You're pulling off of your corner posts. That's where you're going to get all your tension. But these T-posts, timeless T-posts, they're going to provide a little bit of support. If an animal is to kind of run into your tensile, it will provide a little bit extra support. Being that we're near a road, you know, we want to play it safe here. So we'll add a couple extra fence posts on this side. As we get down to the back side along the wood line, you know, we'll probably space them closer to 16. Now, if you can see all the way over there, we got a pretty steep slope on the back side. We're gonna have to get creative there, probably add a couple wood posts in to deal with the elevation change. When your line is coming on a straight line from a wood corner to a wood corner, and you have a steep slope like that, these posts, they will pull right out of the ground because there's so much force on them. And that's the case for any post. T-posts would be the same. So you're gonna have to deal with another anchored post there to kind of help secure that fence line. So we'll get to that when the time comes. But for now today, we're gonna start on the front part of the pasture. We're gonna drive, I only got a handful of posts here with me right now, so we're gonna work as far as we can. I'll kind of walk you guys around a little more and show you kind of the rest of our layout. All right, so we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna measure this out. It doesn't need to be perfect. However, we do wanna do a nice job here. So we're gonna use a tape. We're gonna measure 12 feet, like I mentioned, in the front, and we'll go from there. You'll hold this right against the post, just like that here. Got it?
Got it. How tall is it?
12 feet, that is. It's pretty far.
Pretty far.
How far are we measuring again? I forget.
12.
12 feet, okay. Geez, that was a close call. So there's an old saying about measuring twice. Yeah, I've learned that lesson one too many times. Fortunately, we double checked ourselves here. I'm not sure if you can see this twine here, but it's really important that you use something like this to mark a straight line. As you put tension on your tensile fencing, if your fence line's out of whack, if you're kind of all over the place, well, now you're gonna have unnecessary tension on your posts. In the case of these timeless, they will give some flex. It's gonna look bad. It's not gonna be as clean of a fence line, and it's not gonna be as strong of a fence line. So really important that you're keeping it straight. We were actually caught up on a little branch down there, so it pulled us way out of line. You can see kind of how I lined my posts up. They're way out. Got to just bring them in now that we know we're nice and straight and we can continue on. But definitely would have been a bad mistake starting off. Once these things are in the ground, they're really, really challenging to get out of the ground. So good thing we checked, right? driving these is definitely a workout. We've had good results to this point. One thing, if I had to say, that I don't like about these timeless posts, that flex when you're driving them with a T-post driver like we are, can be really challenging. The stuff does twist a little. It will kick to the sides. The first couple I put in were kind of going like that, guys. So it takes a little bit of a learning curve. I actually went ahead and pulled the sledge out to see if that was easier. It actually wasn't. So I've learned quickly. Nice, slow, controlled motions, and you're gonna get those posts in a little cleaner. It is gonna take more time. I'm not really good at the whole patience thing, but we'll have to make it work and we'll find a way to get them in. So I got 5 down, took about 10 to 15 minutes, not too bad. Probably about 150 to 180 more. So it's obviously not gonna be a one-day job, but we chip away little by little as we have time. Little man's in there taking a nap. That's why we got out here in the first place. So eventually we'll get this fence done. So for those of you that are actually unfamiliar with these posts, this is a 5.5 footer. You can see it's pretty long, and you actually do bury them a good probably what, 1.5 feet, so 18 inches. There is a line right here. It says bury up to this point, and it makes it pretty easy for you to kind of get that visual. That way every fence post is at the same height. And like I said, guys, when you have this in the ground, there is a lot of flex there. You can see when you're hitting it like you're slamming that T-post driver down, it is going to be very difficult to kind of keep it straight. So nice controlled motions, you'll get it in there. But once these things are in the ground, they're going to work wonders for you. You don't have to worry about those little yellow plastic insulators. This fence is the insulator. It's got all these holes. You can set your height right there. Pretty awesome design. It's just a matter of getting them in. All right, guys, not a bad start. However, this is gonna take a while. You can see up the fence line there. We got one that's a little bit crooked. Might be able to hit that one over a little. Worst case, I pull it out and go back in with it. But not too bad overall. There is something about the white posts that just make it look a little bit nicer than that of the traditional T-posts. We're definitely happy with how it looks to start here. Now it's a matter of when do we get time to drive the rest in. Figure if you can do about 10 a day, that only took me about an hour. And yes, there's that learning curve. So as I get better with it, probably won't take nearly as long. As I put 10 posts in, I probably pulled 10 of them out and redid them. So I'll definitely get quicker. Now, while we're doing this, I figure I'll show you kind of what our plan is here, how we're gonna get the animals moved. So I'm standing in the middle of the road right now. You can see to my left, we have our original pasture with a gate. This is going to be a chute. They are sheep, they're not cattle. Down a little bank and across the road. Gonna lead them right to a gate here. Obviously we got our support posts as well to keep the fencing tight. This is gonna be a gate. It is 8 feet, and we'll see how we actually get them across. I don't know if I'm gonna need to run a single wire, maybe even a double. Maybe we'll just be able to lead them with a bucket. That is the hopes. Get them into this gate, and then they'll be into the pasture. Now, as we laid this pasture out, I realized we gave up a little bit of real estate. A couple reasons for that. In order to get clean fence lines, you have to go pretty much straight. Anytime you turn, you're gonna need a wood post to handle that tension. We also have a road right here, as you guys can see. It snows in Pennsylvania, so snow plow, I don't want taking out our fence. And then lastly, this band here, I want to be able to mow this to keep the fence line clean and not have to worry about any weeds that would come up kind of here in this gutter. So it's going to be the same pretty much all the way up, pretty much a mower's width, maybe even in some areas enough to get a truck in here, but at least big enough to mow. That way we keep our fence looking nice, we keep it clean, and obviously the most important thing, we keep a charge on it. Now, as we look across the entire pasture, we got a lot of land here for 6 sheep that we have right now. I've talked about this before, definitely planning on getting more sheep, whether it's gonna be in-house here with lambing or we're gonna source a couple extra sheep this year. But regardless, 4.5 to 5 acres is gonna be a nice chunk for us. We are gonna rotate these animals, so there's a good chance that we're actually gonna put posts kind of down the center. Once we get electric in here, we'll be able to run poly across the width and create a bunch of paddocks. The way I figured it, guys, with what we have now, I mean, we could easily run 12 to 14 paddocks, rotating them every 2 days or so, which would be really, really nice. It'll keep the manure load down. It'll keep some good grasses in here. And we should be able to get a couple rotations throughout the year. The neat thing about that is it's actually going to be a little modular. So we could make our paddocks bigger, smaller, all depending on our flock size. So there's a lot of flexibility there, and that's probably why we're gonna go ahead with that plan. And at the very bottom down there where it flattens out, we're gonna add a nice big gate. You never know when you're gonna have to get in with a truck or a trailer. That is gonna be a good access point. It flattens out, it's easier to kind of turn around down there. So that's why we're putting a gate at the bottom. One giant gate down there. We're gonna have this 8-foot gate here. And that's pretty much it, guys. I know I always talk about adding a lot of gates. That is our property line over there, so there's no point putting a gate over there. Very steep hill up at the top. It's not really gonna be too practical. If you did put a big gate in there, man, getting in with a truck or a trailer would be treacherous if the ground's wet or snowy, so really no point to do it there. So 2 gates on the same side, one mainly for the animals, and then the other is going to be to get a vehicle in there. So that's gonna be all for today, guys. It feels good to be out in some nice, warm, sunny weather, getting some work done here in the early spring. You can see it's just a beautiful day out here. So if you like what we're doing, guys, as always, you can like this video, hit that share button, hit that subscribe button to continue following us. You can check out the links below. Anything we use on the farm, I'll typically put below. Check that stuff out. You can also support us by going through our Tractor Supply link. Anything you purchase through Tractor Supply will also help support our channel as well. So we appreciate you guys watching. Drop us some questions and comments. We love to hear from you guys. And thanks for watching. Enjoy this beautiful weather, guys. Have a great day.